Hey everybody, it's Mark David Heiser from Daddy Did You Win, and I am going to be doing today my race review of the Air Force Marathon, which was held on September 21st, 2019 in Dayton, Ohio. This is the first time I've ever done this race. I was really excited about it. I was given a great opportunity to run it. It was always a goal of mine to run this race at some point. It's just never worked out. And unfortunately for me, it's probably not going to work out for a few more years, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. But first of all, let me just explain kind of what happened with this race. Me and my wife, we decided, if this is the year we're going to do it, let's do it, let's get it done with, and let's have a good time with it. And honestly, I was thinking about making it somewhat of a goal race, going to push it and that sort of thing. And then as training kept going and how I felt, and knowing that it could be warm, for instance, last year it was black flagged eventually. I figured at that point that it may not be the race to actually go after a good time on. And so I stepped back a little bit and I decided I'm going to pace this race. I'm going to be an official pacer. I saw Beast Pacing was looking for pacers still for the Air Force Marathon, so I'm like, all right. And it happened to be at a pace I'd be really comfortable with pacing. 3 hours 45-minute pace group. I've been running somewhere around 3:20 lately, so I felt really comfortable doing that. It's about 8:34, 8:35 miles, so it was a good pace for me. And I thought, you know what, I've been talking about wanting to be a pacer. I've never done it. It's time for me to actually step forward and be a pacer. So I decided this is going to be my first time pacing a race. I figured this was a great opportunity, and so I went for it. Of course, what that meant for me was, while I'd already registered, Air Force was very generous. In the Air Force Marathon, it was very generous, and they actually gave me my registration fee back. So I got reimbursed for that. I also had the opportunity to run a 5K or attend a pasta dinner, and actually I did neither of those. And I'm glad I didn't do the 5K, only because it was 90 degrees, I believe it was, that night. It was very hot. It was held on Friday night, the day before the marathon, and I'm glad I didn't take that chance of wearing myself out even more, being out in the heat. And me and my wife just decided to go out for dinner and enjoy that together. So that's just kind of how things went down for the weekend. We got there, both of us actually took the full day off of work on the 20th, which, like I said, is the Friday day before the race. And we drove to Dayton that morning after the kids went to school, and we went to the expo. Expo is a lot larger than I anticipated it being. That is in the Nutter Center, which is the basketball arena for Wright State University. It's right on campus there, and basically the concourse, or the ring going around the arena, they had vendors all around that. And then also they had vendors down on the playing floor. Playing floor wasn't down, but you get the idea. Down at the base of the arena were vendors as well. I am guessing somewhere around 80 to 100 vendors. I'm not sure on that, but there were a lot of vendors. A lot of it was geared towards the armed forces. So you had like credit unions, and stuff like that. A lot of services that are focused on armed forces, which I thought was great. And I found out actually during the marathon, Air Force actually flew in those in the Air Force from all over the country, from different bases all over the country, to run this marathon. About halfway through, I ran into somebody who told me, yeah, they flew me in for this race. It's a great opportunity, so I took it. And great for them. I didn't even know that was a thing that they did, but it was just an interesting thing to hear during the race. But so there were a lot of other races, of course, there as well. Some races I'm going to be interested in running at some point in the future. Just not going to happen right now, or probably in next year, but I'm keeping an eye on some of these races. One down in Tennessee, for instance, I'm really interested in. It's called Navy 10 Nautical Miler. And if you followed me earlier this year, I ran the Fort to Base 10 nautical mile race in Chicago. So it's just kind of another opportunity to run that 10 nautical mile distance in a different location. So not going to happen next year. It's in June, so not going to happen next year, but maybe 2021. We'll see. Might tie in a family vacation down in Tennessee with that. Just something that we're considering right now. So anyways, you go down to the expo, you'll get your race bib, and then you also get your shirt. And this year's shirt, they made sure to feature the featured aircraft on it, and so they featured the KC-46 Pegasus. It is a refueler plane, and they actually had the flyover of the KC-46 right before the race, right before the marathon and half marathon started. And so on the back then, it does have your sponsors. On the sleeve, it has 26.2, or if you had the 13, if you ran the half, you got 13.1. And then on the other sleeve is the Air Force logo. Really nice shirt, good quality. Of course, you have the Air Force Marathon logo right there on the chest as well. So just kind of a nice shirt. After having such a rough start to the race season this year, it's nice that once we got into August, we finally got race shirts that I'm actually interested in wearing. Also, they gave you this patch, which you'll recognize this later on when I show you the finisher's medal, but it's basically, I think, what they call a mission patch. So with the logo, this year's logo, with the KC-46 Pegasus once again, you kind of get a demonstration that it's a refueler plane on the patch there. So just a neat little souvenir to have as well. So race morning came around on, like I said, September 21st, Saturday morning. The 10K actually started, I believe, at 6:30 a.m. And then they did the marathon and half marathon starting at 7:30. And the reason why they do it that way is because they have what they call a fly, fight, win challenge. So basically what it is you run the 5K on Friday night, you come back, run the 10K Saturday morning, and then you either hop into the marathon or half marathon after that. And so they're basically, they say, though, if you're going to do the fly, fight, win challenge, be ready to run the 10K in 60 minutes. They don't that's basically what they recommend for you. And so it's an opportunity for you to earn 4 medals in total. They do give you a challenge medal as well, which is really cool. It had the KC-46 on it once again, and it was, the KC-46 was actually a spinner medal. The plane spun. It was a really cool medal. With me pacing, and honestly, I probably wasn't going to do it anyways, but I did not feel like it was a responsible thing for me to try that challenge, especially on a hot weekend like that. So anyways, right after when the 10K is starting up, rain started pouring down on us, and unfortunately, along with that rain, lightning came as well. And so they actually had to delay. The 10K wasn't in danger. They were mainly running south of the base. I believe they were kind of in that area, whereas the marathon, half marathon at the start was going north, and the lightning was north, and they actually said it was in the vicinity of the marathon course, going north. And so they had to wait until the lightning cleared, and so we got delayed 45 minutes. So we did not start until 8:15, knowing that this was going to be a very hot race, going to be very warm, knowing that this was going to be an issue. I think some of us were pretty concerned about that, but so we got started probably about 8:15, maybe a little later than that actually. And you know, I think some people viewed it more negatively than I did. As a pacer, I didn't care. I know there are other pacers who were like, well, that's going to screw us up already. But you know, at the same time, we just had to wait it out. And so we waited it out. We headed under tents during the hard rains, but then when we got out, there really wasn't any shelter for us to go. If they needed us to evacuate, we were going to have to go into the Air Force Museum, which, by the way, we did that the day before the marathon as well. We checked that out real quick. If you're in Dayton, check out the Air Force Museum. It is free. You can spend hours and hours in that museum. Anyways, so like I said, 8:15 we got started. The course, they changed it up this year. There is a hill right at the beginning in the first mile, and then nothing really that bad until probably about mile 20. Then you start getting more hills. So I had a co-pacer. This was, like I said, my first time pacing, which I was glad that they gave me a co-pacer. She did not realize that this was my first until probably about mile 22, when I finally told her. We thought, okay, let's start off at 9-minute pace and work our way up. Like I said earlier, 8:35 is the overall pace that we wanted to run. So let's start at 9, knowing that there's a hill, and then we'll gradually gain time. And I'm telling you, we did not fulfill that goal at all. We actually, I think, went out. I'm trying to pull up my times here real quick. Unfortunately, I didn't have my app ready here, but we went out, I believe, somewhere right around that 8:35 pace. So we were already right on pace, but we also knew that the effort, we probably pushed the effort more than what we really should have. And so right after that hill, after the first mile, there's a good downhill section, which we really got going once again. And we once again trying to bring up the splits here real quick, but here we go. Yeah, so 8:38 was the first mile. Then we got down to 8-minute mile. Like I said, that was a net downhill mile for sure, and we struggled with keeping an 8:35 pace. We were going way too fast. There were points where we knew we were 2-3 minutes ahead of pace, and that's not good. We were told, you know, try to finish within a minute under your time. And so you know, we're talking, I'm going to talk more about being a pacer in another video, because I could really stretch this video out a long time. You know, we were really talking about, okay, how do we do this? And I'll talk about more of how we made it up. But through the hills and everything else at the end, we ended up finishing in a time of 8:44.29, or 3:44.29, 3:44.29. So 31 seconds within our goal of a 3:45 marathon. So that is pretty good. On a day that we saw a lot of pacers dropping out, we passed several of them. We felt really good about how we did as a pace group. We found ways. Unfortunately, no one ever ran with us for too long. We had quite a few say they were going to try to keep up with us, and then either they went on ahead of us, which is great. Hopefully they felt good enough to just keep on going, and they're able to finish with a good time, or unfortunately they just dropped back. And I don't think that had much to do with our faster pace, but rather the heat of the day. And so we did what we were supposed to do. We got there in the time we could, and yeah, I mean, it was a great course. You ran all the way, I mean, most of it was right on the Air Force Base. Seeing all the planes, seeing the flyovers, everything else. This is a fantastic marathon. You're not going to get the crowd support all over a place until you go into Fairborn, which is right there beside the Air Force Base. And that's about the only place where you really get crowds, because you're restricted, because it's not areas of the Air Force Base that's open to the public, and so you're running in areas that not very many people get to go on. So it's really cool actually that way. The volunteers all throughout the course were great. We did not see a red flag, I don't think, until mile 20. They never black flagged it. So everybody who was able to, they finished the race, which was great. But I would love to go back to this marathon again. It was fantastic. Just so much focus is put on a runner, and just everything they do to recognize the Air Force, and not just the Air Force, but all branches of the military. And so you know, eventually some point I'll go back to it. Unfortunately, the reasons why I won't be going back to it next year or anytime soon is because of the fact that this is on a Saturday, and my daughters are involved in cross country, and this year actually it fell on my daughter's birthday on the 21st, and she was not too happy with me about being gone on their birthday, but we got home, we celebrated, don't worry. But there's just always a cross country meet on that weekend, and so it's not going to happen probably for at least another 6 years. And then my son will be probably in cross country at that time, so add another 6 or something. It may not happen for 13 or 14 years, unfortunately, unless something changes. You know, if they may move the Air Force to a Sunday race, or cross country schedules change. But they've been the high school the kids go to, it's high school I went to, and they've been running this cross country meet ever since I was in high school, so I don't see it changing. So I'm kind of out of luck with running this marathon, I think, for a little while. But I want to tell you some of the other stuff they gave you. So of course, when you finish, they give you your finisher's medal, and these are, I kind of gave you an idea what they look like, but this is it. Same as the patch. It does have the date, the 23rd annual Air Force Marathon, 26.2 down here. KC-46 Pegasus is labeled. And then, of course, it says Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is the Air Force Base that the marathon was held in Dayton, Ohio, with, as I said, date on the back. And then the Air Force logo on the back with finisher and United States Air Force there on the bottom. Pretty nice ribbon as well. 2019 Air Force Marathon finisher with the KC-46 Pegasus all over the ribbon with the Air Force Marathon, or with the Air Force logo. And so that was the marathon medal. This is the half marathon medal. Same thing, except different sizes. So I do appreciate when a race, I have told you this, I do appreciate when a race goes out of their way to make a difference between the marathon and half marathon medals. 5K and 10K medals were the same, except for, as you can imagine, smaller. Then this is actually a hat that I purchased when registering. It's the only way you could have gotten it. So Air Force Marathon there on the front, Air Force logo on the back. Kind of a cool design on the bottom of the bill. This is a BOCO hat, so as a BOCO ambassador, I am proud to wear that everywhere. And then they also gave you, though, for free, a finisher's hat. So this is something that was handed to you after you cross the finish line. Go over what this looks like. Once again, the Air Force Marathon logo there. Finisher 2019. And then the bottom of the bill right there. So once again, nice little souvenir to have there. All this to say, Air Force Marathon really puts the runner first. They do a lot for the runners. They were out there making sure that there was enough safety out on the course. They actually added aid stations for the last 10K of the marathon. So I think they were supposed to be about every 1.5 miles to 2 miles. They actually ended up being a mile or even less than a mile for the last 10K. So they were prepared. They were ready to go. And like I said, it was a great experience. Brandon is the name of the race director. He's got this thing down, and he does a great job. And so if you're looking for a Ohio Marathon, if you're looking for a marathon that supports our armed forces, gets you close to Air Force bases, and you actually get to finish on the Air Force base, and most of it's on it, run this race. It is awesome. I would love to go back. Hopefully sooner than later I am able to get back, but family first. Got to get to those kids cross country meets. They only run cross country for a short time. So like I said, love to go back. So encourage you, if you get a chance, do it. You'll love it. It was a great time. So as I said, next video I will talk about my experience of being a pacer. I'll get a little more into that. I just didn't want this video to be any longer than what it already was. So thank you guys very much for watching. My next race, actually, I'm running, there's a month in between races, so I will not be running another race until October 19th at the Urban Bourbon Half Marathon in Louisville, Kentucky. So I'm looking forward to that. And if you are going, let me know. You can use discount code BourbonRave 2019 for that race to get 10% off your registration. So hope to see you there. If not, hope to see you guys later. Thank you very much. Have a great day.